last year, I dropped a controversial segment about how I believe Kalen DeBoer was Nick Saban reincarnated. And after seeing how his first year at Alabama went, going 9-4, having a few upset losses to Vandy, Oklahoma, and Michigan, I got a bunch of people that are now commenting under that video saying, oh, I bet you feel stupid for saying this now. I bet you don't believe in Kalen DeBoer that much anymore. No. You guys got it completely wrong. I still believe that Kalen DeBoer is Nick Saban 2.0. Nick Saban, his first year at Alabama, he lost to Louisiana Monroe. That's way worse than any loss Kalen DeBoer took last season. Kalen DeBoer still, in spite of how big of a disappointment year one was for him in Tuscaloosa, he finished 4-1 against teams in the top 25. And over the last 3 years, he has the second most wins against ranked teams. He's 15-2. He has wins over some of the consensus top 5 coaches in college football. He's beaten Dan Lanning twice, Steve Sarkisian twice. He beat Kirby Smart and Brian Kelly last year. The guy is an elite big game coach. Anytime you go into a big game, Kalen DeBoer is always going to have Alabama ready to play. He showed that last year. He also showed that he's an elite recruiter when you had all of the Southern folks saying, oh, this West Coast guy ain't going to be able to recruit the South. Well, all Kalen DeBoer did was get the best quarterback in Keelan Russell out of Texas. He landed 2 out of 5 of the highest rated players in the state of Florida, while also sticking to his West Coast roots and snagging 3 of the top 5 best players out of California. He has the same recruiting prowess that Nick Saban had. And their philosophies are not too different in terms of what they value in building a championship program. They both put a strong emphasis on recruiting, player development, and building good relationships with not just the players, but the family of these players as well. And that's evident because during this spring portal cycle, Alabama hasn't had anybody hit the transfer portal. Everything that happened in year one for Kalen DeBoer was a building block and a stepping stone for something bigger in year 2. If you are selling any of your Kalen DeBoer stock right now, you're making a huge mistake. Last year was the most losses that he ever had in his whole entire coaching career, even going back to NAIA. I'm not saying that Kalen DeBoer is Nick Saban reincarnated for clicks. I promise you, there are a bunch of other different things that I could do if I was chasing views. I really believe that there was no better coach to replace Nick Saban but Kalen DeBoer. At Washington, he led that team to the national championship despite having a roster that from a talent standpoint wasn't even top 15 in America. He resurrected Michael Penix's career. Before he got to Washington, Jimmy Lake damn near ran that program into the ground. He did more than what Chris Peterson did in his time at Washington in only the span of 2 years. You are foolish to sell any stock in Alabama right now. I feel the team they have coming back this year is one of the 5 best in America from a talent standpoint. You are loaded on offense. Ty Simpson should be an upgrade from Jalen Milroe at quarterback because it won't be a struggle for him to complete the forward pass like it seemed to be at times with Jalen Milroe. You got arguably the best receiving trio in the country. You have what should be a top 5 defense with how loaded you are in the front 7, how stacked your secondary is with Dermontti Jackson and Xavier Brown, who was one of the best freshmen in all of college football last year. Kalen DeBoer had some growing pains at Alabama last season. And Nick Saban, he didn't say that Alabama was going to be that good last year. And he said that it was going to be a little bit tough making that transition. And remember, Kalen DeBoer took this Alabama job late during the coaching carousel. He wasn't able to bring in a true portal class. He wasn't able to, reshape this roster, the best fit his philosophy from a schematic standpoint. He had to make deal with what was available. That's why he didn't want a lot of guys to transfer. He wanted to try to make it work. And ultimately, with Jalen Milroe, he got the most out of him that he could, but he just wasn't a good fit in his system. And a lot of the players that transferred out during the winter, that they really just weren't a good fit in this scheme. The players that are meant to be here are still here at Alabama. I believe in Kalen DeBoer, and I believe that Alabama once again struck gold with another hiring of an all-time great head coach. And Alabama, when you look at the history of this program, they normally get it right when it comes to head coaches. They don't really miss too often. Ever since the start of football's existence from 1901, they had winning football coaches. So I don't really expect anything to change that much out of Kalen DeBoer. I do expect that he will have Alabama playing in the college football playoffs this year, competing for a national title. He will go on to win not one, not two, but multiple, maybe 3, 4 national championships. Will he be able to rattle off the amount of natties that Nick Saban did? No, but that's just because of the new landscape with NIL and the portal. It's hard to have that kind of depth to just run the gauntlet like that. But overall, I don't feel any differently about Kalen DeBoer today as I did when he first got hired by Alabama. I watched nearly every single game that Kalen DeBoer coached at Washington. He was helping me pay my tuition my junior year of college, and I won a lot of money betting on him. And that's why I have so much confidence that he's going to end up getting it right this year at Alabama. I'm not selling any stock on him. I'm sorry.